There's all these coaches, consultants, business owners out there. They're teaching you how to do something that worked 5 years ago. And it really makes me upset because what worked 5 years ago isn't necessarily going to work today. Right. So, this idea of I see this carousel all the time on LinkedIn, on Instagram. It's grow your podcast, guest on shows, share social media clips, tell your aunt and uncle. And it's like, guys, everybody's doing that. There's 3 million podcasts out there to doing that. How do you keep your content fresh? How do you keep evolving with the new strategies and tactics? How do you give that access to people? And then lastly, as I give you this loaded question here, what's working now? What's new? What's fresh? What are you doing differently than everyone else? This is kind of what I'm really fascinated by.
Yeah. Okay. So there's kind of two answers to that question. And I'll start with the second question that you had there. So the first principle that I believe to always be true is that if you want to grow your presence in any form of media or on any platform, the most efficient way to do that is going to be within that world. So anytime you catch yourself trying to grow your podcast on social media, which are two different worlds, or trying to grow your social media via email, right? These are different things that are going to require somebody who discovers you in that extra world to have to jump over into the other world to consume your thing there. But also, like, you're reaching them in a different context in their life. So someone who's scrolling TikTok is not in the mood to go listen to a 2-hour-long conversation about business, right? They consume those things for different purposes and at different points of their life, of their routine. So when it comes to podcast growth, I would venture to say that it will always be the most effective and efficient way to grow a podcast by making it so that podcast listeners discover you while they are already listening or about to listen to another podcast. What that looks like today is guesting is tried and true. First of all, that's the one that as long as people continue to have shows that are interview based like this, I really don't think that one's going to go away. There's different tactics to do it right. Those change a little bit, but that I think is the core one that will always be, a key piece of growing a podcast. The ones that are a little bit newer today and that really, really work well because not as many people are doing them are promo swaps, right? Where I would say, hey, Mark, let me talk. Instead of having you on my show, let me just do an ad read for your show on mine. Hey, you got to check out this podcast by Mark Savant, right? Likewise. So what's great about that is it's way more efficient and way less work than us mutually having to schedule and prepare for an interview and edit. Like, there's a ton of work in having a guest on your show. So it allows it to go way faster. And it's also a little bit more scalable because, for you to get featured on 30 podcasts, you don't have to do 30 interviews. You just do 30 swap collaborations. Yeah. Likewise, you can pay for ads on another podcast. You can buy ads in podcast apps, but all of it comes down to is if you want your podcast to grow, you should probably look first to growth strategies that are within the podcast world for two reasons. One, because you're going to reach people who are 100% podcast listeners. I've got news. I'm pumped for our repurposed content here, but 50% of the people that reach that content don't listen to podcasts, and they're not going to start, right, based on the content that I put out there. So it's already 50%. Now, it's still a great strategy. It doesn't have to be 100% efficient to be worth it, but it's still like half the people that you reach via that medium, they're not listening to your show no matter how good your content is because they just don't. So 100% of the people who you reach when you get featured in podcasts are podcast listener. And again, you are also reaching them while they are being a podcast listener, which is they're driving, they're working out, they're cleaning. And it's just so much easier because they're in that context for them to switch and go check out your show compared to when they're on the toilet scrolling TikTok, right? They're not going to go, let me go check out Kevin Chemidlin's podcast. It's just, they might be the perfect listener for my show, but because I reached them while they're mindlessly scrolling and they're looking to be entertained, they're not looking to think about work, it will have been a wasted effort. So super, super, super long-winded way to say, within the podcast world, the tactics will certainly change. I agree with you 100%. You got to be on, the bleeding edge of what's working, because once everybody knows about it, it works a little bit less. But where I would push back is I would say, I agree, social media, it's great to grow your social media presence to repurpose content, not great to grow your podcast listenership. But within the podcast world, that's the one that I'll ride, forever, because it's saying that you want to grow your Instagram, you should probably do it within Instagram. It's the same thing across all the different medias.
Thanks for watching Mark Savant Media. Here we're going to help you create a better content in less time and turn that attention into income. If you love this video, you're going to love these videos here. Click the one. Me and my team specially selected this just for you. click the link, check out the video. I'll catch you here next time on Mark's Media. Peace.